Hola, mi gente. Welcome to our first official episode of Entertainx, where we highlight the work and achievements of different Latinx individuals across the entertainment industry. I am your host, Ingrid Nin, and today we have a very special guest, my good sis, Jalyssa Jimenez. Jalyssa is a Black Latinx filmmaker and content creator. Her work focuses on the protection of women and the importance of mental illness. Her purpose is to create content that is inclusive to all audiences and gives an outlet for communities to have their voices heard. Hey, Jalyssa, how are you?
Hello, how y'all doing? I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, we are excited to have you as our first official guest of our series. So you will always have that honor carried onto you no matter where you go. So you should be very proud of that. And I know your birthday is coming up. So happy early birthday to you.
Thank you. You know I'm turning 23, the big what is it? That shit, Big Jordan 23 some type. I think that's the number. I'm just gonna be 23.
Well, 23 is still important. So happy birthday. And from all of us at Entertainx and all of our audiences, we love you. So thank you for coming
I love
on.
y'all too. Y'all minds.
Yes. Okay. So how are you feeling today? Because with everything going on in the world, I have to ask.
For now I'm vibing. I feel like especially throughout this year, with everything that went on, like I had to really like tackle down my mental illness this year, which was really crazy, and just like tackle down like my generational trauma. So, if you think of like just some people that are spiritual, like know what like shadow work is, like I really had to just like reflect on so many things that like held me back, and I feel like now I'm in a space where I'm just like accepting more to just like develop and change for the better of myself. So yeah, thank you. I'm just now vibing out here, doing my best, kind of create.
Yes, girl, I love that. And speaking of creating, I know in your 2019 interview with Hip Hop Film Festival's IGTV series, The 411, you mentioned that you create to build yourself as a person. Can you talk more about this in relation to your journey through filmmaking?
I feel like art and my art it helps me build myself as a person. It was in relation to my mental illness because I wanted to learn how to better take care of myself, and honestly I feel like my art was a clarity of free therapy because I couldn't get therapy, and being in a Latinx house, not a lot of family members, not a lot of Latinx people in general believe that mental illness is real. So we just like we put it to the side. So I feel like my art and creating film and like expressing my voice was a way for me to get that free therapy and sort of just have a conversation with myself and ask myself if I'm okay, ask myself what is it that's going on with me, and like re-educate myself to basically learn how to like balance my mental illness because I struggle with anxiety. I'm trying to sooner or later get tested for to see if I have autism. So yeah, it's been a crazy road with that. So I'm just like I'm grateful to have an that outlet at least for me to push myself to heal these things.
Wow, that is insane. And I completely understand with, Latinx families saying like, oh, mental illness doesn't exist, depression doesn't exist, eso son cosas del diablo. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I just don't think it's real. And it's like, no, it's very real. And until, we address those issues within our community and say, these are valid things, trauma is a valid thing that all of us need to heal from, then, we cannot progress, not only within our individual families, but as a whole community together.
That's a fact. Like, and I feel like that plays a big role with generational trauma. Like, we were I feel like the because you can't it's so hard to not blame your family for that stuff either because we that literally comes from like generations of like all the way to colonization. Like we were put in positions where we had to hold back our mental stability to survive. So it's like I like the and we're still practicing that, but it's gotten to a point where it's just like why are we still practicing these things?
Exactly. It was a defense mechanism. Like, we couldn't show emotion, when our people were getting raped and enslaved.
Right.
We couldn't like break down and try to heal from that because of everything going on. And even till today, we have to keep like this image up with us to show people that we're being okay or that we are feeling okay, even if we're not, even if our family home is not. As long as the image is there, then everything is okay, which is not the truth. And I think As long as our community can introduce more vulnerability, I think so many of the issues that are like underlying, whether it's machismo or even colorism that's, super prevalent within our community. I think if we're more open and honest with each other about those topics and less likely to react whenever we do see like toxic behaviors, I think our community could progress so much as a people. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes. I feel like, and especially within our generation, there has been way more people open to now, like, talking about, like, our emotions because, especially, like, our generation and younger, because now we're to a point where it's just like, "Okay, what are we still practicing this for?" Especially that now, like, with social media, we have all these outlets to, like, share these things. It's not like an indoor secret no more.
Exactly. It's not. And I think that's the beauty of it too, that because of social media, we've been able to learn like what generational trauma is, or how to look for signs of depression within ourselves or within our loved ones. I think that's the beauty of having all that information so accessible to us, is that we get to see the signs and we get to relate with people as well who are going through similar experiences. And I think that's why I really, really love your IGTV series, How We Cope. And I know you just wrapped your season 2 of your series. So can you talk to our audiences and speak more about how that idea came into fruition, and even how the pandemic affected your series, and how did you keep the pandemic and all those mental health issues in mind while filming?
Child, How We Cope was literally, like, uplifted literally from when I started discovering what mental illness was. I didn't e not me not even knowing, like, and barely having educational mind on it. I didn't really look at mental illness till I was, like, in my last year of high school where I just had, like, this really ugly panic attack, and I was like, "Child, this is not normal. I should be breathing." I should be breathing. Child, what's going on? And then to learn further, yeah, so I was just like, "No, like, I need to learn what mental illness first before I take any step further." So and because I have a learning disability, it's so hard for me to research, and physically read things, especially with people that just, like, don't put personality to their writing. Like, my learning disability dissociates from all that. So I'm just like, I had to, like, tell myself, "How can I teach myself, mental illness?" And I was like, "I'm an artist, so why not create, a series on it?" So, How We Cope was literally developed for me to learn more about mental illness.
That is amazing, and I can see the community you really built with that series. Because for me, myself, who also deals with, like, my anxiety issues and things like that, it resonates so much, and like you were saying, not everyone has the accessibility to, educate themselves with articles and traditional forms of academia to learn about their mental illnesses, and that's why I think your show, it's so important because it truly is accessible for everyone.
Yeah, but I think it really, like, touched my heart that it ended up building community. Because the more like, when I started posting the first season when it first came out, people were hitting me up about the show, feeling like, that they felt like they belonged, that they all started hitting up the people that I interviewed, thanking them for sharing their story, and it was just like, I thought that shit was so beautiful, um I saw, people, like, community building in front of my eyes online on social media, and but then it's like not even social media, because then these people now know each other in real life. So I thought, like, I was like, "Okay, How We Cope, has to continue." So that's when I made season 2. Season 2 was harder, to shoot, being that it was a pandemic, so I had to change my equipment dynamic, really quickly, because the first season I used the Sony camera. I was able to go to more locations, and then this season was a little more tricky because everyone was on lockdown. I was really blessed and lucky to have, people that just didn't just wanna be a part of it, but also literally showed up in front of my house and was ready to be interviewed, and I was like, "Oh, shit." Like, I was like, "This is gonna work." And then what was different about season 2 is that it didn't just relate to, like, pandemic issues, because there was people that were going through so many things at home and have to stay home because of the pandemic, so they were more trapped in their head. Some of them had to go back to abusive households and stuff. So it was a lot of that, but then, yeah, what made this, series so different is that I shot it on an iPhone as well. The styling technique for that one was way different. I know, because I couldn't really follow the subjects around in their environment, what they do, because, like, with season 1, I was able to follow the subjects more, go to where they were at, but, like, I brought the subjects here, so I decided to have them bring an object with them that doesn't just connect with them, but also connects with their mental illness and how probably that object helped them learn about their mental illness. And I had a bunch of people bring like different like this in the first episode of season 2, my friend Diani brought her violin. And I was shocked because I'm just like, she's a filmmaker. And like I met her in film school and she was like, but this was an object that helped me learn about my autism and my ADHD. And she was like, with that form of art that it taught her, her autism influences her art and she sees that as such a positive light. And I was just like, wow.
It's insane what you've been able to do and to grow within the past 2 seasons, and I'm really if you're doing season 3, I am very, very excited to see what you have on there because I know that for everyone who watches, it's truly a real source of comfort, I should say. And I know through that too, you were able to do art in the park.
Yes. Oh my god. I was excited about this because How We Cope was actually featured in Art in the Park because I tried to create How We Cope as like a digital program. I just included How We Cope at Art in the Park because Art in the Park had to do with using art to heal your mental stability especially during the pandemic. Like that was it was my cousin's idea. So I worked with my cousin Michelle Cuevas and it was her and her friend Eureka that both basically funded money for this event. So we had like a poetry slam during the event. We had people painting. Those people that just brought food to vibe. Child, there was a free reading. There was just so much beautiful things going on.
No, I watched the video where you highlight everyone and you're interviewing everyone, and you guys were also doing like yoga at the same time too. And it just from the vibes watching the video, it seemed like it was such a place of healing and such a place of just calmness. And like you said before, I think it did give the opportunity for people to get out of their homes if they did have, a toxic home environment at the time, or even if they're just like struggling with their own mental illness from isolation. I'm really happy that you were able to even showcase that through your series as well, because I know that it's really important to show that there is a community of people, you know, who are BIPOC, not even just Latinos, who can come together and to heal and to grow from what they're struggling through.
Yes, yes, yes. That was one of the big things too, with just like how we cope and like all these events that we pulled is is how the way I highlight POC communities point blank period, especially like POC communities within the LGBTQ community that were just like they were really fucking going through it. So we were like my show doesn't I really highlight on that because it's one thing to have mental illness, but it's one thing to have mental illness when you are ethnic. It's a whole other level of mental illness because you're and I only say that because from my experience, because I grew up in rich, Caucasian schools, the beginning of my life, and the way I used to I, watch a lot of, like, other white peers around me just, like, have free access to therapy, and I'm just I never even thought that that was even possible, and and they're telling me, "Why don't I have a therapist?" I'm just like, "Child, I can't afford a therapist."
No, we're not wealthy like that out here. What do you mean?
I remember that in specifically this one girl was like, "Yeah, I have a therapist for my parents being divorced." I said, "You can get therapy for that?" I said, "That's real?" I said, "You have a therapist for that?" I said, "Child, my parents hate each other from birth." I'm like, "Where is my therapist?"
Child, that's a thing?
That's
You
a
heal?
I'm
What?
like I'm like, "You" but no, but the worst part for me was like, "You needed a therapist for that?" That is just the peak of that is just a sprinkle of trauma compared to all this shit I've seen. Child, I need a therapist for the fatphobia, for the racism,
For the body distortion, the
the
body dysmorphia, like
the emotional and physical abuse. Where's my therapist?
but I think that's so beautiful why your show even exists because it even shows that like it's universal. It's not just for even, the Latino community or for POCs or, just a luxury white people can have, but it's for everyone. I think that's the really beautiful thing about your show. It's like everyone goes through this, no matter what color they are, no matter what size they are, no matter their sexual orientation or their gender identity. It's for everyone.
Right, and I feel like that feeling of wholeness, and I think something I want to also tackle, now you have me thinking about it, which it would be really dope, is just like it's one thing that we all understand mental illnesses and they come out differently, and to for everyone to respect one another from like how the way they develop their mental illnesses.
Yes. Okay. So to pivot on from here, I know in your website's bio, you say that your hair encouraged your journey as a filmmaker. I thought that line was so interesting. So can you speak more to that and how it really inspired you to go into film as well?
Okay. So yeah, I that was around the time that I had my hair journey in general because if I'm Dominican and Puerto Rican, but I'm also like I'm the like Latina. So especially being Dominican, like it is very like traditionally like taught in our culture, like not in our culture, but taught like in Americanized culture that our hair ain't shit and we have to make it as straight as possible. And especially be Puerto Rican, Dominican, that was very heavily influenced on me at birth. Like they saw an afro on my head and they said, "Nah, child." They said, "Whitewash that shit." So
Pelo bueno, pelo malo. You
yeah,
already know.
yes. So and it's like again, I don't like to take things so personally because I know where these practices come from. Like so like of course like I talked to my grandma about this already where I'm just like, yeah, listen, I can't do this because then I got older to a point in my life where I'm just like, okay, these hair salons is $40 to $50 a week. I cannot properly wash my hair. Like it always smells like a hot ass iron. Like I was not doing it. It was not cute. So and it really developed it was an aspect one of the aspects of my insecurity that it was developing. So I came to a point when I was 21 where I was like, okay, I'm cutting my hair off. I was like, I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't not just afford it, but I do not feel beautiful looking like this. So I cut all my hair off and it was like I got a lot of what is that called? Lash back?
Flashback?
Yes, yes. I got a lot of that. And but then I don't know. But after I cut off my hair, I started like to the experience of that was very interesting because the more I felt like it grew throughout time, because at first I didn't really know what to do with it, but I felt like the more it grew, the more I was developing and understanding my identity more. Some people with Afro journeys is very different, but mine was very interesting in a way where I was just like I cut my hair at a time where I was growing as well, and I felt like that was really compatible. So I took it as such a metamorphical image where I felt like the more I feel like I was growing, the more that my afro was growing. And right now, child, my afro is big.
Girl, I see your pictures, but it is beautiful. I always see you and I'm like, "Yes!" Like, go off, Afro queen, like, just
Thank
ooh,
you.
so beautiful, so gorge. I love
I
it.
be I be trying so like yeah, I feel like I took that metaphor of when my hair grows, I grow as a person. I took that metaphor within my art because I feel like it's the same thing when you're an artist. Like I feel like the more that I was learning about myself as well, the more that my art was growing because the more experiences that I had about myself, the more I was able to reflect on my work and I was able to present it to an audience of people that also understand these concepts and understand these topics as well. So my hair journey was definitely equivalent to my artwork because in a way they were both growing and developing into like so many beautiful ways into his highest self. And I was just like, yeah, I was like, this makes sense.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Like, yes, the higher your hair grows, the higher you get to your higher self.
Yes, yes, that part.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so also on the topic of hair, as an Afro Latina filmmaker, what do you think Hollywood could do to better represent other Afro Latinxs in film? And how has that propelled you into the journey that you're taking within filmmaking?
Oh, it's very simple answer for me. Start hiring us. Give us a job.
Yup.
Give us a job. Put us in Hollywood, child. And I'm not talking about and but that also falls under the same issue with diversity hire and hiring us because we are of certain ethnicity, which is a I started to realize is a really big problem in this industry where they only hire us for to just like boost up the diversity that diversity limit that they have in their space and then put us nowhere. They keep us in that same position for like 5 to 6 years till like they're fed up and they fucking leave. And I've seen this happen to a lot of other people I know that I'm friends with, and it's just like it always sometimes it always leaves me in a position where I get scared because I'm just like, I do not want to become that diversity hire to be stuck in the same position. I am very big on developing and moving to anywhere I do and everywhere I go and being in that position I want to be in. So to have to worry that the color of my skin is gonna hinder that is like it's just ridiculous to even think about.
It truly is, and I feel like with the way our industry is progressing right now, it's at a very stable line because we're seeing all these changes happening at the upper scale of our industry. You know, all these executives, all these executives of color coming in and being promoted, which is beautiful, which is great. You know, I think that's very important too to help all of us be uplifted, to get all of us to raise up the ranks. But at the bottom level of like where we're starting, the entry level jobs, they're still predominantly, you know, white or middle class people going into those roles. And until we address those disparities at the bottom at, you know, below the line levels within production, we're never going to really see change being affected in that way. You know, until we address those disparities that affect us, whether it comes to like even being paid equally so we can be able to afford our things, because obviously a lot of IPOC people come from lower income backgrounds when compared to their white counterparts, and being paid, you know, basic minimum wage does not help with that, especially when we're going starting out in the industry. So I agree with you completely.
Yeah, I joined a program called RealWorks, and what I love about them, their job is so beautiful because 'cause they're in the center of making sure that a lot of POC workers that want to work in film, they can transition them into these spaces in a healthier way. Because like, I know a lot of especially, like, young people that are POC that try to, like, get into these positions, like, some of us end up in dangerous situations, and some of us end up in, like, tricky situations where, like, we don't get paid, we're working for free for someone telling us that, "Oh, that this will be a good opportunity for your resume," type. I know a lot of us heard of that, like, just, like, basically working free labor for these sets that don't really give us anything back. Like, like, me, definitely, I've been in situations like that because I wanted to rank up where I've, like, worked for people that had me working at, like, 2 in the morning getting coffee and all the coffee spots are closed. And I was like, "Child, this is slavery." I was like, I was and it was like and the fact that I was that stressed out, I went home, like, in pain, and then to get such a small amount of money, I was just like, "This is so ugly." And it's something that in specifically a lot of, like, people within the film industry that are POC that go through all this shit where we would take anything to want to get in these positions, but that's what I like about reworks is that they're demolishing that aspect of what we go through. That's why they take college students from like Brooklyn College and a bunch of other film schools, and they transition them into like these spaces, which is why I was able to work for Jax Media when I did. Like RealWorks, like, connected me with Jax Media, and I at least made sure that I was working in a space where I was like, okay, I'm gonna get money and I'm gonna get an opportunity from this, and it's like we need more of that.
We need those organizations that can come in and help these companies realize that there needs to be more equity being done. You know, not just giving us, you know, letting us into these spaces, but also ensuring that being treated equally, that there are no microaggressions within these communities, or not within these communities, but within these spaces, and that we're being treated fairly for it overall.
We're being treated like humans, and I feel like that's the big thing, like,
Exactly.
because even in some spaces that I worked in, like, it's so hard to start up a conversation without someone being scared to say something. Like, I had people avoid me because they didn't want to say nothing, and I'm just like it's not that hard. Like, we just want to be treated as people. We just want to be included, and but not just in socially, but we want to be included into the work being done. We want our voices to be weight or as equal, at least as equally heard. Like, and I feel like that's why with Hollywood, like, it's so simple. Just let Afro Latinx people in the industry, let them tell these stories. And maybe if we do that, there will be a better representation of the Latinx community, point blank period. Because right now the representation is very is very low.
And even when it is there, it's very white oriented, you know, it's very white passing Latinxs, and that's not cute. It's not okay, you know, because we all come in different shades and different colors. And, you know, whether you're Afro Latino, Indigenous Latino, you should be able to be fairly represented within our community.
That is such a fact. The only person I could think about digitally that I seen is, what's her name? Amegra.
Oh, Amara La Negra.
Yes, her mind. That's the only I can say Afro, Latinx woman I seen, like, in terms of media itself. There is I know, like, there's, Evie Queen, but she's a musician. But then see how it's hard for me to think about a Latinx person in film?
Yeah, no, it's hard.
But like a Afro Latinx, because the fact that we like there's been some signs of indigenous to white passing, but then even when indigenous Latinx people, like, they get into positions as a maid, like, on some, or just like, but then, like, but it's just so weird how colorism plays a role in Hollywood, because when a person is black on camera, they never distinguish their ethnicity at all,
Mhm.
which is crazy. Like someone will watch it, be like, "Oh, straight up African American." It's like, "Child, what?" Like, I just found out that, the Bernie Mac show?
Yeah.
One of the boy in that show is Afro Latino.
Really?
When I found out, I said, "See where the problem lies?" I said, "I would've never," but then something told me he was Afro Latino, because he was acting very, like, especially around that age in the show, that's how fucking Latino boys be acting, like devils. So he was acting the fuck up and always whining. I said, "I knew there was Latino in that fucking kid."
Yo, bro, I'm dead.
I was like, no wonder he reminded me of my male cousins. Like, this, like, oh my God. But that was like, that's the issue right there. Like, there's no, like, especially with Afro, like, Latinx, there's no one to distinguish what ethnicity means and how it looks like, especially in our culture. And they needs to just, something needs to fucking come out and start educating these people. And, like, these stories do need to develop, more, where it was just, like, it makes it more normalized that Afro Latinx communities, we look like everyone or and everything, because we all come to different shades of color. That's just how it works.
You know, the first Afro Latino I've ever saw even be featured on like Emmy Award or anything like that, Jarrell Jerome. And he was in
Mm.
the Central Park 5 series that aired last year,
Oh.
or not last year, 2019, since we're in 2021. You know, did you know he was Dominican?
No. No one.
Girl, he's
Child.
Dominican. You know, that's why I think it's so important. We, you know, not even just only in US programming, but within Spanish programming too. We need to have those people be present on there. You
Mhm.
know, for the Jarrell Jeromes, for the Yalitza Aparicios, like they exist, you know, and they look like us. I don't understand what's not clicking with these executives to not being feature that, like to not feature them. You know what I mean?
I feel like nothing's clicking with them, because that's not their experience. I feel like that's where the problem is. That's why I say, start hiring more filmmakers that can tell these stories better. Because it's like white Hollywood wants to act like they don't know what to do. Of course you don't know what to do. Start hiring new people. Start hiring people like us.
Starts accepting the stories of the people who look like us who do know what to do.
Period. Period.
That's why it's until we get more stories that bring more equality and equity to the mainstream, we're never going to be able to see people who look like us because people won't be able to see that impact or even call for that because they
Mhm.
can't call for what they don't see.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about you more again. So tell us what you're working on now. What does work look like for you in the age of COVID?
Girl, so, I it's been hard for me to work on a few things, but I was also very lucky to capture, I'm gonna be pitching, a cooking, show idea for, Jigsaw Productions.
Congratulations! That's so exciting!
Thank you. Like, so I'm gonna be pitching, a cooking, series for them, and the cooking series is gonna they want the cooking series to feature, POC, chefs. So I was able to find a few chefs for them. I was able to find a chef that was just on the show Chopped. And, I'm gonna be pitching an idea with them, and the show is gonna be centered on POC chefs within different ethnicities, and how can they express their dishes that, represents their ethnicity. So, like, we were just talking about, like, for example, if like this one chef being Afro Latina, but she's Puerto Rican. So her expressing her a Puerto Rican dish and talking about being a Puerto Rican Afro Latina.
That is amazing.
Thank you. So I'm gonna be pitching that, you know.
I love that. I cannot wait to watch. I'm a huge fan of cooking shows. I love me some Ian the Gardener, and I cannot wait to like see the POC version of that and like just more inclusivity within like the reality space in general. That is amazing. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Oh my God. I can't wait to pitch it. Like I'm so excited. Um, and then I'm gonna be in a lingerie shoot.
Oh,
That's
girl.
gonna be so interesting because I like growing up with so much fat phobia, like I definitely like have like this I have a really hard way of expressing my body because especially with fat phobia in general in this fucking country, like the lack of support with plus size women. So it's gonna be really that's gonna be an interesting experience for me. I'm very nervous, but at the same time I'm excited because I'm finally able to embrace that part of myself.
I am so excited. I cannot wait to see the shoot. Like, oh my god, I am as someone who's also experiences fat phobia. It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna be so excited for you. I'm probably gonna cry, to be honest,
Because I'm crying.
because I'm just so excited.
Thank you. You know, I'm really blessed and so funny because all these opportunities literally came up after the ball dropped. So I'm like,
Girl, 2021, it's new opportunities for you, new opportunities for everyone.
I feel like all creatives are just gonna be flourishing. They're gonna be like, here, my work.
Period.
Oh my God. But yes, that's what I'm currently working on now. I'm excited to work on more things further. I'm just so happy right now.
Yes, oh my god, you're really starting off 2021 with a bang. I cannot wait to see. So, for everyone else who's listening to see what you're doing, where can they follow you and where can they find you?
So I have a website called Jalyssa Film. So if they want to look more at my work and what I do, that's like the perfect website to see my content. If they want to contact me or and see my social media content from there, they can go to Negra Latina __, and that's I'm literally on Instagram and y'all can just like hit me up. My email is there open to contact me. But yeah.
Please follow Jalyssa because she is an amazing creator, just an amazing individual in general. And thank you so much for joining us today on Entertainx. You're amazing. I love you so much.
I love you too. Thank you for inviting me. This has been such a healing moment. I love talking about these things. So thank you.
Well, that is it for today, y'all. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Entertainx Now, and be sure to tune in next time for another episode of Entertainx.